fast off the line, but down the inside into turn one. It is the governor of Goulburn, Troy Herfoss, that takes the lead.
Somebody needs to strike quick on Troy Herfoss, or you know what, Phil, he could run away with this.
The wizard of Wakefield Park, Troy Herfoss, that took the win once again. Maxwell gets the absolutely cracking start.
Oh, but that's Bayliss. Bayliss is down.
From the newest racetrack in Australia, in Tailem Bend, South Australia, we bring you round 3 of the Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship. This circuit is one of a kind. It's long, full of undulation, and has 18 turns. Welcome to the Bend Motorsport Park. Emma Francesco and Steve Martin with you in conjunction this weekend with ARRC, which is fantastic. Steve, I love this place. I know everyone does. Why wouldn't they? Welcome back to the Bend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic track. We've had a fantastic weekend here so far. Lots of racing to come. I love this circuit. It's a circuit that creates such close racing, and anything can happen. Just because somebody won yesterday doesn't mean they can win today.
Well, we've already had 2 very exciting races for Superbike. I'll wrap it up just quickly for you. Brian Starring taking both wins so far. Fantastic effort by him, and he's on double duties this weekend too.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done more laps than anyone around here. I think after the 2 days of practice, he said they were the easy 2 days. The hard 2 days are to come. Well, he's had a couple of wins, like you say. He's got one race this afternoon to try and wrap it off. But I'll tell you what, he's high in confidence at the moment.
As we look at the championship points, with those wins from Brian, he's actually moved up to 2nd in the championship. Mike Jones is in 3rd. Cru Halliday is the one that is still in the lead at the moment, only by 6 points. It is so competitive, isn't it?
It's such a competitive championship. You know, like Cru has been there. He's been consistent the whole time. He's doing a beautiful job. He's ridden really well this weekend. You cannot give up. You know, you've really got to just try and do your best to do what you can do.
Well, thank you, Steve. I'll release you and let you head up to the commentary booth. And speaking of the devil, Cru Halliday, the guy that is leading this championship at the moment, thank you so much for joining me. Coming into this weekend, you seem really nervous. You hadn't raced around here on a superbike. You hadn't tested here. Are you happy with your results so far?
Yeah, definitely happy with the results. You know, Yamaha's put the right machine around me for this weekend, and you know, as you said before, I haven't been here on a 1,000 yet, and you know, I went 3 wins here for last year on the 600. So you know, the confidence was there. I just was a little bit unsure. We hadn't really tested here before, but you know, on a little bit of back foot. But you know, as you can tell by the races, we're getting up there in the points, put on the podium once, and you know, it's going to be exciting.
What do you have to do to win this next race?
To be honest, it's going to be hard to beat Brian. You know, he's on a different tyre manufacturer. I don't think it's really about beating him. I think it's, to be honest, to be one of the first Pirelli riders home. But it's going to be a hard mission in itself, and you know, I look forward to the challenge.
Good luck this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. We're about to go racing, a very big schedule ahead of us this afternoon. In the meantime, it is a big hello to Phil Harlem.
Emma and the Supersport 300 riders are heading off on their warm-up lap. Great to hear from Cru Halliday down there, the championship leader coming into this round. 2 tough races so far this weekend, and he still maintains a 6-point championship lead over Brian Starring, who's had 2 victories and surged himself up the leaderboard, and goes into this last round only 6 points off that championship lead. Well, Supersport 300 has been an interesting class this weekend. Ollie Simpson has taken 2 victories, one completely dominating the rest of the field and the other one by 9 1/1000ths of a second. And we are ready for the 3rd and final race in the Supersport 300 program here at round 3 of the championship. Ollie Simpson will start from pole position, the local man. Brandon Demery, a great return from him. He'll start out a 2nd place on board bike number 11. And Hunter Ford, the man that pushed Ollie Simpson all the way, will start out of position number 3 on the front row of the grid. Senna Agius will start out of position number 4. Seth Crump, who's had a great weekend, weekend and not really had the results he would have wanted so far. Will start out at position number 5, and Lockie Taylor in position number 6 on board bike number 151. Row 3 is Benny Baker, Zach Levy, and championship leader Max Stouffer. And row 4 will be Harry Curry, Travis Hall, and Yanni Shaw, also doing double duty this weekend in the Supersport 300 and also the Asian ASB 1000 class. Row 5 will be Mitchell Simpson, Kyle O'Connell and Johnny Littris, and row 6 will be Peter Nerlich, Callum O'Brien and Xylus Bunting. Looking back to row 7 of the grid now. This is a massive field of 35 riders. Jacob Ralston and Jacob Hatch, 2 of our juniors. Tristan Adamson also as well had a big crash on board bike number 864 earlier on in the weekend. They will start out of the 7th row of the grid. The 8th row, 9th row, 10th row, all the way back through this massive 35 bike field. Good to see the girls back there, Keegan Pickering in 26 and Stephanie James in position number 27. And also the Agostini brothers, Cameron and Christian, will start out of positions 30 and 31. All the way from the Northern Territory as well. John Condon making his debut in the Supersport 300 class as well. Ryan Muscardini in position number 33, and the field rounded out by Craig White and Lachlan O'Brien. But Steve Martin, you've just run up here from the pit lane. Friday we saw a lot of wind. Friday we saw a lot of wind. Yesterday afternoon was a lot more calm. How are conditions down there in pit lane right now?
Calm, but I think they're going to get stormy in a minute when these guys take off. So really looking forward to this race. But the one thing I do know, Ollie Simpson has been coming back to the field, so he's really going to have to work for this one. I think that a lot of the guys have been able to find something. So really looking forward to getting this underway. Big shout out to Brandon Demery, who's back on form too.
Well, the other thing about this class is though too, you look at the grid and the riders that have been in the mix so far, all the way back to the 3rd and 4th row of the grid. There's a potential race winner there, and Ollie Simpson may have won the 2 races so far. There he is coming down, warming up the brakes, getting ready to start from pole position. But there is a marauding pack of riders right behind that have all been putting it to him, especially in race 2 this morning. Ready to go racing for the first race of the day for the Supersport 300 on our afternoon telecast. Ollie Simpson starting from pole position. We are ready to go racing. Supersport 300 is go. Steve Martin, great start there from Senna Agis from the 2nd row of the grid as well. And it looks like we're going to head down towards turn 1 without any contact between riders. That's a first for the Supersport 300s this weekend. Look at them all on the inside of the grid, jockeying for position. Coming to the outside though, and is it Seth Crump that's going to lead them? No, it's Ollie Simpson. Oh, we've got 1 down, we've got 2 down. Lockie Taylor and Senna Agis, I think, and also the luckless Zach Levy, who had, I think that was Lockie Taylor's foot caught or leg caught in the back of his bike.
Yeah, unfortunately, let's hope that he's okay. He gave a bit of a warning sign there, but it looks like he got up okay, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for him. But not a good start for those guys, unfortunately, as they head through the first part of this circuit. But it looks like there's been a red flag put out, so a red flag has been held out, which means that the race will be stopped to clear up that melee at turn 1. Now, Phil, I think you might have spoken a little bit too soon about...
well, there was no contact on the straight, but there was plenty of contact in turn 1. The last 2 races we've seen elbow rubbing and contact with fairings as they made their way down the first straight, but we've got cleanly through turn 1. Maybe that was a bad example. We maybe should be concerned that there's no contact on the straight when they get underway for the full restart.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 4 bikes ended up going down in that, so it looks like we will have a full restart of that race. So these young Supersport riders, one of the riders there, that looks like 74, is it perhaps Jacob Ralston, could it be?
Yeah, it's one of our junior riders who's been racing here this weekend, making his debut in the Supersport 300 class.
Yeah, so unfortunately for him, doesn't look like he'll be able to make the restart. Brandon Demery's there. He's telling everyone to slow down for some reason.
And it was certainly Senna Agis on bike number 81 was one of the ones that was involved. Lockie Taylor on 151 was another one of the bikes that was involved, and also Zach Levy on board bike number 87. Well, here's a replay of it now. You can see Senna Agis on the far right-hand side of the screen. He's on the outside there trying to tip into the corner.
Look
Lockie
at Zach
Taylor's
Levy.
come up the inside.
Zach Levy's gone in and collected Lockie Taylor. Zach Levy's just gone in too deep, and that's what's caused the melee there. There's 3 bikes. Where's the 4th bike?
Well, I think that may have been
another incident. Further back in the field there.
A bit further back. But you can see there that Taylor's leg was caught in Zach Levy's machine. That's why Zach couldn't turn into the corner, because his leg was caught in the back wheel of the Puma RV's R3. And plenty of other riders had to take off-track excursions there as well. Well, a bit of an anticlimax start for a race that we know is going to be exciting. Unfortunately, there was too much excitement at the first corner of this 7-lap race.
Yeah,
So we'll wait to see what the officials do. They have said it will be a full restart after the red flag. I don't think it will take them too long to get that mess at turn 1 cleaned up.
I think Taylor Ralph might have been one of the bikes that have got caught up in that as well. Taylor Ralph, bike number 28, is coming up on the screen as having an incident. Perhaps that was further around the corner. Can you see her there on the green bike? She'll be further back in the pack at this weekend, I'd imagine. Let's, yeah, is that, no, that's not Taylor there.
That's bike number 81, Senna Adjus.
One of the Simpson brothers rode through as well. They're pretty easy to spot. There's Mitch Kuhn. He's, I don't know what he's saying there, but...
well, you can't see him because he's got the camo leathers.
Well, that's... Yeah,
always
I'm only guessing.
Turns up in a very, well, swish set of leathers.
They certainly are, aren't they? It's a well-turned-out machine, Mitch Kuhn's bike. I really do like going down and admiring that in the pits and looking at the lines of that R3 machine. Number 99. Now, there's a good number. Jacob Hatch. I like that number, Phil.
Yep, Jacob Hatch actually racing in the FIM Oceania Junior Cup as well, which will return with the ASBK at the next round of the championship at Morgan Park Raceway.
Just got a glimpse of Sarah Fairbrother on the grid there. She's starting on the just back there a little bit too. She was next to Jacob Hatch, so lots of different people there. Looks like there's a bit of action up in that turn 1. Let's hope that Lockie Taylor's all right.
I think that's Johnny Littress. He destroyed a bike earlier on this weekend. And Caboolture Yamaha, one of his long-time supporters, I think he might be heading down to Caboolture Yamaha to take advantage of the fact that there is a brand new Yamaha R3 out, and maybe we'll see him debuting that at the next round, his home round, in fact, at Morgan Park. Lot riders now heading around on their warm-up lap for this restarted Supersport 300 race. The race has been reduced to 6-lap journey by 1 lap from the originally planned 7 laps, and they'll take up their positions on the grid. And we will unfortunately be without the man that's second place in the championship, Senna Adjus, and also look like Lockie Taylor is also not going to be taking up his position on the grid, and he is also well placed in the championship as well.
Is Zach Levy still out there though? Zach Levy was involved in that incident, I think.
Yeah, but he got going after he untangled Lockie Taylor's leg out of the back wheel of the Puma RV's Yamaha R3.
Well, that was a good lucky escape for him then to be able to continue on. There he is. You can see him there, but all the riders just really putting that weight into the tyres to warm them up, really moving the bike backwards and forwards to try and put whatever heat they can in. They know they've been sitting on that grid now, Phil, for quite a while. That's the last thing you want as a rider, is to be sitting there knowing that your tyres are going to be going cold, especially as you're going to go into that turn 1. There's Hunter Ford doing a similar sort of thing, just getting the last little bits of heat. Pulling the brake on, you'll see them probably pull the brake on pretty hard as well, because that puts heat into the tyre. It's not the outside surface, there you go, that you need to do. It's really the carcass that is the main problem. That's the inside part of the tyre. As they head back up, there's Benny Baker.
Yeah, on board bike number 72. He's been one of the continual front runners this weekend on board that all-red Yamaha R3. Has shown some great corner speed on a couple of occasions, especially through that S's section over the back of the circuit, Steve, in the 2 races that we've seen so far. But we really need to keep our eye on pretty much anyone in the first 3 rows of the grid, because they've all been getting some great starts this weekend, and it is extremely hectic down in towards turn 1. On all of the races, apart from this one, we've seen multiple contacts between riders as they made their way down in towards turn 1. Nolly Simpson makes his way down the inside and takes up his grid position there on the first row of the grid in pole position. Poor old Seth Crump is a lonesome figure in the second row of the grid as the red flag leaves. Supersport 300, take 2, about to get underway. Great start from Nolly Simpson. How is the track going there? Everyone makes their way down towards turn 1 now. Seth Crump sitting in 4th position, trying to pull out of the slipstream. Once again, they're right over to the right-hand side of the circuit. They'll all sweep back over to the left and try and get the right line down in towards turn 1. And it's Seth Crump, the master of the out-braking manoeuvres this weekend, that takes the lead through turn 1. And I think, Steve Martin, the whole field has made it through safely.
Through turn 1 at least safely, and what a gaggle of riders we've got up at the front there. There's Harry Curry, Benny Baker. They always seem to be together on the track out there on the circuit there, and What a big, big group of riders as they're vying ahead. It is Ollie Simpson now, who has just got back in front of Seth Crump. That was a brilliant start by Seth. He really did get off the line well. And braking, look at him go. Nice tight line up the inside. That's what he needs to do. He did it well in race 2, and he's doing it here again. He needs to be at the front, but if you remember, he got chewed up towards the end. So let's see if he can hold the guys behind him, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
That tight left-hand corner where he put that braking manoeuvre on, he has been visibly one of the strongest riders in there all weekend, and it's got him into the lead of this race. But Ollie Simpson has been extremely fast as that section of the circuit that flows through there, and then through this S's section, he's been carrying a lot of corner run-in speed, has Ollie Simpson on board bike number 45. Benny Baker's also been incredibly fast through there as well. And Brandon Demery on board bike number 11 is right on the back of this lead group. Steve, that would be his best start this weekend. Although he's starting from the front row of the grid, he's been swallowed up at the start and been left with a lot of work to do, sometimes outside of the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with there, Phil. But meanwhile, Hunter Ford has struck very strongly early on. It's not often you see him leading this early in the race. So Hunter Ford has struck early, and you've got to think if you're him, he's a really big character. He'll want to try and make as big a gap as he can. Well, for these little 300s, he's almost 6 foot tall. He's an absolute perfect slipstreaming machine down the straight. If you want to be behind anyone, you want to be behind him. So he's going to have to try and pull out as big a gap as he can. I can almost guarantee you that by the start line, at least 2 or 3 guys are going to be past him. And you can see him moving all the way over to the other side of the track. Just
I was just going to say, the 2 riders they want to watch out for in the slipstream is Harry Curry and Benny Baker, probably 2 of the lighter riders. Harry Curry pulled out of the slipstream early and then got swallowed up by a couple of the other riders who then took advantage of his slipstream, and all of them end up ahead of Hunter Ford now.
Tight.
That was extremely tight between Seth Crump and Ollie Simpson there as they made their way down through turn 1. Look at them, 3 and 4 abreast as we come down now through the turn 3 area and around, and the camera doesn't really give an indication of how much of an uphill climb that is.
No, it certainly doesn't. This track is quite undulating, a lot of blind corners, which is a lot of these entries, it just depends on who's the bravest, and Seth Crump is the bravest on brakes at the moment, but he's being attacked from both sides. Of course, Harry Curry on the number 43 machine there is doing everything he can. He's a good little smooth rider, is Harry Curry. Keep an eye on him. But the KTM looks definitely stronger on the brakes and into the tighter corners than the faster sections. You can see it here with Ollie Simpson. He lines up nice and early on the R3, and look at the extra speed he carries through there.
Well, it doesn't also look to lose anything as Ollie Simpson goes back up the inside on the straight as well, considering it's the only single-cylinder bike out there in the field. The Kawasaki Ninja 400 and also the dominant Yamaha R3 are both parallel twin-cylinder engines. Look at Hunter Ford now. He got a great drive out of that corner, and he's moved up past Harry Curry and slotted himself right onto the ducktail of the 45 machine of Ollie Simpson. That was the corner where in race number 1, Seth Crump and Hunter Ford had a little bit of a coming together. Well, Ollie Simpson had to get a little bit harder on the brakes there as he came up the inside of Seth Crump, but Crump had the better positioning as they made their way through that corner. They come down the hill now. This is another one where the camera doesn't really give you a fair indication of how much of a downhill slope that is as they come down now towards the very tight turn 17. That's a big outbreaking opportunity as we get towards the end of this race as well.
Yeah, once again, you can see Seth Crump and how strong the KTM is on the brakes. He's got a lot of confidence in the front end as he brakes and tips into the corner.
Well, as they come out onto the straight, Crump leads. We can pretty much guarantee he won't be leading by the time they get to the end of the straight. Here comes Harry Curry. The lightweight of Harry Curry starts to make his way forward. Ollie Simpson still sitting in the slipstream of Seth Crump. They'll all fan out across the track now as we come down towards turn 1. That's 2 laps completed of the now 6-lap journey, so that's 1/3 race distance complete. Seth Crump has gone from the lead back to 4th, just as we predicted, and Hunter Ford, the biggest character, as you said, well, you can take that in more ways than one. He has made his way up into the lead as they come round through on the start of this lap 3. He's still having a look over his shoulder, though. I don't think anyone's gone anywhere, Hunter.
Nope, there's 33 guys behind you and girls that want to overtake you on every corner, or maybe even 3 times every corner. Harry Curry up the inside again. He's good on that exit of that corner into that downhill. This is quite strong. See, once again, look at the KTM. He's very good into those corners. It just seems to be the high-speed corners that Seth has a little bit of a problem. Brandon Demery a bit wide there.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's on a bit of a charge too. It's Johnny Littris on board bike number 308. He's made his way forward. He's now up into 6th position. I think he just went ahead of Benny Baker. Or is he just behind Benny Baker? And Benny Baker is right behind that man there on the Puma RVs machine. Zach Levy, bike number 87. He was one rider that's got one of the new R3s. Actually started out the weekend on the new bike, but I think he's reverted back to the, the fully developed R3 that's been ridden, had the wheels ridden off it for the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Both him and Lockie Taylor had that new machine. They started off, but not completely ready for the class yet. All the parts weren't here. And as you can see, the racing is close as this. If you're racing a bike that's not completely ready, you're going to be nowhere, because we're not talking about half a second. You're going to finish second. If you're half a second off the pace in this field, Phil, you may as well not turn up.
Well, you could be starting from the 5th row of the grid with half a second less in your lap time. Ollie Simpson, the man that's won 2 races so far, Steve, has now taken to the head of the pack, but coming down the inside is Hunter Ford on board bike number 20. It's turn 17, the second of the penultimate corner. They'll drive round here and then round through turn 18 and out onto the Motul Pirelli straight. Ollie Simpson leading. Hunter Ford in second, who's made their way up into 3rd place. It's pretty much a drag race between Seth Crump and Harry Curry. Zach Levy right behind them, and then it's also Ben Baker on board bike number 72. They've just stretched out a fraction now as we come round to complete half race distance. And looking to see where our championship leader, Maxi Stouffer, is. He's back there. Look who's making a charge forward. It's the 333 machine, the only Bridgestone shod machine in the field. Yanni Shaw, the man that's also been doing double duty this weekend in the ASB 1000 class in the Asian Road Racing Championship that's running here this weekend as well.
Yeah, it's a great result for Yanni Shaw and the Bridgestone machine there. The ZX 400, good to see him up there. He's one of the hard chargers. He was one of the guys that first tested the ZX 400 last year and helped the development to get it into the team. But meanwhile, 4 into 1 doesn't go. Seth Crump's been just locked on to the outside there, and it is Zach Levy, I think, now that's moved his way up into that top 3rd position, 4th position behind Harry Curry.
Well, no surprise to see with a couple of laps to go in a Supersport 300 race that bike number 87 making its way to the front. Zach Levy, last year he was the master of the last lap mugging, and he's doing a great job here to try and work his way forward, but he's got a very, very fast and determined Harry Curry on board bike number 43 in front. And right behind them is Seth Crump, the man that's been continually at the front of this pack this weekend and showed some great form. But I think you have a look at all of those riders there. All of them have led the races at some stage over the weekend, and that's what makes Ollie Simpson's complete domination of the class so far even more impressive.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Ollie Simpson, he is an absolute class. Rode the Red Bull Rookies Cup for many years, and now hasn't done so much racing recently, but he raced here last year, if I remember. Who knows? Hopefully we'll see him in more racing this year. Hunter Ford, a bit of a run, looks over his shoulder again to see where the rest of the field is. It's just down to you two guys now. So it's Ollie Simpson and Hunter Ford. Hunter Ford just making sure that it's Simpson and himself as they head down the straight with only a couple of laps to go. It's, in a way, they're working together too, because they're a half a second a lap quicker than the guys behind them that are battling it out. Seth Crump in that podium position, that's important for him.
Well, will we see a repeat of race number 2, where we saw that those two riders actually finished 1st and 2nd. Hunter Ford used the slipstream to perfection there, and then Ollie Simpson's ducked into his slipstream and found his way past as well, and will take up the running at the front once again as they make their way down through turn 1. That's 4 laps complete of the 6-lap journey, and the gap back to the rest of those riders as they came across the start-finish line was about 1.7 seconds.
Yeah, lap times getting down there, 2:10.0 at the moment. That could be pretty close to a lap record, so 2:10.
Oh, no, Ollie Simpson's got a problem, Steve Martin.
Oh, no.
He's put his hand up, he's pulled out of the race. You can see the frustration there for the local man, the rider on board bike number 45. You can see he went to select a gear, and I don't know what the problem was, but
it looked like
chain? It looked like he found a box
No,
of
there's no
neutrals.
chain on it.
Is that what it was?
It looked like there was no chain.
Well, he's certainly coasting to a halt there around the back of the circuit. So that is the end of the challenge for bike number 45, Ollie Simpson. Wow, you've got a feel for him. He's been on fire all weekend. And we'll wait for some confirmation of what that was, and if we can see a picture of him pulled up. But yeah, he was certainly coasting. I'm not sure what the issue was, but look at that marauding pack now. They know that they're back in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, Hunter Ford now, as he heads into the last lap after this, he's got quite a buffer on these guys, but he's got nothing to, like, these guys can work as a group and drag the top speed up, as you would see in a cycling race. They might be able to pull that group back due to the fact that they can punch a bigger hole in the group. So Hunter Ford hasn't got this one just yet.
He will get the last lap board as he comes around to complete this lap. There's still a couple of corners to go in this fifth lap of the race. And currently it is Seth Crump that he's taken up the running in second position. Could he be on for his first podium of the weekend? Harry Curry tries to go up the inside, but we know that Seth Crump has got such great corner run-in speed, and especially round there through turn 17. A quick shot there of bike number 27, our championship leader, Max Stouffer. But back to the marauding pack now that's trying to chase down our race leader, and it is Harry Curry that pulls out of turn 18 and takes the lead. Seth Crump happy to sit alongside him and not use the slipstream to try and get past, but look at the riders behind. You can see the slipstream there, how it's working and how they're catching up on both Harry Curry and Seth Crump as they come down in towards turn number one. It's Yanni Shaw on the 333 machine.
Brendan Demery goes up the inside too there. That was a pretty tight move by him, but looks like everybody's up and okay. He's good job there. He's moved up a few places, but Yanni Shaw up well up in the pack now. Great move by him.
Well, the recently crowned New Zealand Moto 3 champion, he won that championship with a round to spare, has moved up into second place, but he's just been mugged by Harry Curry as they come round to Seth Crump corner. What can Seth Crump do here? He's the meat between the two slices of bread of both, is that Zach Levy and also Harry Curry, so he couldn't really dive in there as late as he would have liked. And poor old Yanni Shaw was second a couple of corners ago, and now he's back to fifth place.
Well, look where Brandon Demery is at the moment. He's worked his way right up to second position as well.
Oh, it's actually Brandon Demery, not Zach Levy.
What a brilliant weekend Brandon Demery's having. I can't believe the turn of luck that he's had. It's good to see him after the misfortune he had last year. He's been retired for a little while, came back as a team manager, and then decided to come back as a rider. He's still got it in his bloody second at the moment, but I'll tell you what, he's still going to have to work hard for it because there's a big gaggle of riders behind him. Seth Crump sits in third at the moment.
Well, less than half a lap to go now, Steve Martin, to decide the eventual winner of this Supersport 300 race. And with Ollie Simpson out, the round victory is going to be up for grabs as well. Some good solid points for all of these riders here. And with Hunter Ford scoring that DNF in race number 1, it's going to mean that one of these riders will be the eventual round winner. Seth Crump has taken up the running now in second position. Harry Curry in third. And we're coming down to a very tight corner. In third place, and Harry Curry in fourth. Max Stouffer's in there as well. And there is Zach Levy right at the back of that pack with Ben Baker.
Yeah, he's doing the best he can as they head into the final turn now. This is Hunter Ford's race. It looks like Brandon Demery's in a good position too, but Harry Curry's got past. Hunter Ford comes through. What a brilliant job by Hunter Ford. What an emphatic victory for him, especially after the disappointment for yesterday. Brandon Demery comes through for second position. Harry Curry gets third. Yanni Shaw fourth, and Seth Crump in fifth. Maxi Stouffer makes a good comeback in sixth.
Well, there was literally 3/10 of a second, I think it was, between Harry Curry on the third step of the podium and the luckless this weekend Seth Crump back there in fifth position. Well, it's been a big weekend for all of those riders. Here comes Callum O'Brien to the line on board bike number 10. He's battling with Xylus Bunting as they come across the line for the final places inside the top 15. But your victor in race number 3, Hunter Ford on board bike number 20. That bike was in pieces in the garage last night, being put back together by his dad Terry. So what a fantastic job they've done. And Hunter Ford and Seth Crump shaking hands there. Good to see the sportsmanship. Benny Baker on board bike number 72 also had a great weekend as well. And it's going to be very, very interesting when we come to the round points, Steve Martin, because there's been some up and down point scores for all of those riders this weekend.
Yeah, definitely going to be pretty hard to pick a round winner. But poor old Ollie Simpson, unfortunately for him, a bit of a problem. There he is walking back at the moment. So unfortunately, Ollie Simpson, some sort of problem for him.
But look at the fastest lap of the race at 2:09.873, set by Brandon Demery on the last lap of the race. That was the way he charged his way forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, right. Well, that's fantastic. Let's head down for a quick break.
Welcome back to the Bend Motorsport Park for round 3 of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship. We have just seen the final race of the weekend for the Supersport 300 class, and confirmation of the results is now coming through with the victory going to Hunter Ford, taking the win from a massive group of riders, and Harry Curry ended up taking the overall round win for the weekend. Our top 3, they're down in Park for May now with Emma.
Harry Curry winning the round. Congratulations on third. Obviously, lots happening in that race, and we hope that everyone is A-OK.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Once again, it's great to be back on the podium. I can't thank the team enough. I'd like to thank Steph and Andy at K-Tech. I'm so happy to be first for the round.
Thanks, Harry. Well done. And in second position, Brandon Demery. Lots of fans for you here. We were just having a quick chat. Your last podium was in 2016, was it?
Yeah, we had a difficult few years, the last few years with some injuries and just not being able to get the job done. But yeah, happy to finally be back up here, and the rustic flooring Yamaha R3 team worked so hard all weekend, and I'm so thankful for everything they do. I'm stoked to be back up here. It's been way too long.
Thanks, Brandon. Welcome back to the podium and in first position. A fantastic way to finish your weekend. Hunter Ford, well done.
Oh, well, it was a pretty bad start to the weekend, but
a good finish.
Yeah, made a comeback, but could have been a better start. Could have actually had a podium for the round. But yeah, can't thank my sponsors enough for keeping me out there and kept me racing.
Thanks, Hunter. And I have to make mention, a big hello and shout out to Taylor Ralph. Thank you, Lee is here with this beautiful AGV helmet, which will be presented to her for being the fastest female for the weekend. Boys.
Thanks very much, Emma. Great to see the smile back on Brandon Demery's face, and also Hunter Ford took the race win, but as he mentioned, didn't get off to the best of starts. Well, it's been a big weekend this weekend, especially for the Superbike riders as they're making their way back out onto the field. Wayne Maxwell and Josh Waters have had a fantastic weekend. Let's go behind the visor with the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia riders.
They're new teammates for the 2019 season, and while they can both be quite serious at times, they certainly like to have a laugh. Let's go behind the visor and find out more about the boys from Team Suzuki X-Star, Wayne Maxwell and Josh Waters.
Archie's 3 and Billy just over 1.
I have 1 and her name is Izzy.
And why don't you just announce that you've got another on the way? Like, it'd be a perfect time. Josh, it'd be a perfect time to announce. I haven't told anyone. Yes, we do. We spend a lot of time before family. We spent a lot of time in Mildura having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've got some pretty funny stories. So spent a lot of Easters and a lot of New Years and so on. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
We've got 2 number 1 riders in this team. We're all treated equal. There's no need for opening those, for trying to create a negative vibe. Can we just get the pits cleansed of that negativity, please?
Yeah, what Wayne said, we're treated both equally.
Josh does get better stuff, but I mean, like, it's
Well, when Wayne Maxwell gives up racing, you could probably get a job as a comedian, Steve Martin, as we see him down there on the grid. This is an incredibly close championship as we come to the final race for round 3. Let's go down to the grid with Emma.
With a guy on pole position, Mike Jones, you've had 2 second places already this weekend. What do you have to do to get the win in the bag for this one?
Well, first I need to get the start because I ruined that in the last race. So I'll get the start, and I want to try to make a bit of a gap in the first couple of laps. I think that's the strategy, try and get away at the front in the beginning, because I think they're going to be faster than everyone for the first few laps, and hopefully build a big enough gap that we can stay ahead of Brian at the end of the race.
Go get him, good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
Guys, take a bit of a walk with me down the grid. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch my place is so big. I did a really from Daniel Felson starting in second position. We know that you're fast, that is for sure. Just obviously a few issues this weekend, especially with tyres, hard to manage.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a bit of a strange feeling for us right now. We didn't test here, unfortunately, so we're at a bit of a land of unknown when it comes to tyres. I feel very fast. Our qualifying pace obviously shows we're on the front where we're fast. A bit held back at the moment, but we're going to change something for this race, and hopefully it's enough to keep us right up front.
Good luck.
Thanks, Emma.
Of course, he is the local, having all of the crowd support with him this weekend and all of his family friends. Wayne Maxwell, ups and downs for you this weekend. You had a DNF yesterday, you had a podium this morning. What's your strategy for this one?
Yeah, look, same. Try to get some clear track at the start, and yeah, just try to stay out of trouble. It seems to want to find me all the time, so yeah, stay out of trouble, and hopefully we're in a position at the end we can again fight for a podium.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
And from one guy in Team Suzuki, Josh Waters. Josh, a 5th and a 6th so far this weekend. Any changes on the bike from the last race?
Improvement from yesterday's race and then to this morning's race. So I just need to position myself better at the start when the tyres are still half all right, and then hope for fight for second.
Go get him.
Thank you.
Boys?
Yeah, thanks very much, Emma. Great to hear from a couple of those riders. Interestingly enough, Steve Martin, I think most of them seem to have resigned to the fact that Brian Starring looks like he's the man that is going to take the race win once again and make it 3 from 3. Everyone else is saying they want to try and stay as far ahead of Brian as they can for as long as they can.
Well, yeah, I think that what we've seen is that the Pirellis have definitely got the outright speed off the start and for the first 3 or 4 laps. The problem is that this is a 10-lap race, and there seems to be a degradation in the tyres of about 2 to 3 seconds a lap of the Pirelli tyres. The Dunlops, although slightly slower overall, can maintain a standard of a standard level of, like probably, but let's him catch up earlier on.
Well, back down to the grid with Emma.
Some fantastic results already this weekend. Great work.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really happy with how we're going. We're top privateer at the moment, and the Kawasaki's working really well. The place is pretty challenging here at the Bend, but I am enjoying it, and the team's working really hard, and each race we improve and we find something. So I think this last race should be good. Each race we make some changes, which is sometimes not great on race day, but we have to keep striving to move forward and keep up with these factory boys.
You mentioned challenges. Obviously, tyres have been a really, really big talking point this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like there's 2 settings here. You've got to do a outright lap, fast lap for qualifying, so there's a setting for that, and then there's a setting to last the 10 laps. So we've really concentrated on the races because there's 3. There's a lot of points up for grabs, and obviously top privateer is our main focus for the year.
Good luck. Go get him.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Emma. Great to hear from Glenn Scott. Interestingly enough, Steve Martin, a lot of the riders have been saying that they're having trouble making their Pirelli tyres last the race distance. Glenn Scott seems to be one that is having great consistency over race distance on those Pirelli tyres. So whatever Al Samuels and the team are doing there for the GSD or the GSR racing team, it's working very well for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got something nailed down there, and he said it, the 2 different setups. Perhaps they have got a completely 2 different setups.
Right, let's get back down to Emma on the grid for a couple of final interviews before this Superbike race gets underway.
Adam Senior, haven't seen you yet for the 2019 season. Great to have you at the Bend.
Cheers, yeah, just a fleet and visit, 1 round for the moment, and it's good to be back and see everybody again and have some fun.
Good luck.
Cheers, thanks.
Boys.
Emma.
It is great to see Adam Senior back in the championship. Has been a long-time campaigner in the ASBK, making the trek over from Western Australia for every single round. This being the closest round to his home base in Western Australia, decided to come back, and hopefully it's not the last time we see him in 2019.
No, it's certainly a lot of fun and good to be around. But there's the bike that you've been talking about all weekend, Damon Reese's CBR 1000 with that special Anzac paint job. And how beautiful does it look, and what a wonderful weekend to see it on track.
Yeah, very special weekend this weekend on Australia Day, and thank you to all of the men and women that have given service to this country, and great to celebrate it with Damon Reese running that special livery here this weekend. Of course, the former New Zealand Supersport champion, but this weekend we also have the reigning New Zealand Supersport champion. She'll be in action coming up in the next race, Avalon Biddle.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be watching the start of this Superbike race for sure, getting a few hinters on how long it takes for the lights to go out. That's one little trick that a lot of the riders normally do. They'll stand on the sidelines as we head off on the warm-up lap.
As we get ready to head off on that warm-up lap, keep your eye there on board bike number 61, the black Suzuki GSXR of the local man Arthur Cecis, a former World Championship rider in the Moto 3 Championship, former Speedway star, and his starts all weekend this weekend, well actually and last year as well, have been absolutely unbelievable. Make sure you keep an eye on the left-hand side of your screens as they come down in towards turn 1 on the actual race start, because guaranteed that big Suzuki bike number 61 will be charging down the inside and looking for the lead from row 4 as he comes down into turn 1.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. Nobody does, and he's not willing to tell anyone, but he can just get that Suzuki off the line beautifully as they head off on the warm-up lap.
Suzukis have been traditionally good starters, but what Arthur Cecis is doing is completely unbelievable. As this massive field of bikes make their way around through the tight, twisty corners here at the start of the Bend Motorsport Park. 18 corners, Steve Martin, but also a lot of elevation change as well. I think it's, was it over 65 metres of elevation change?
Yeah, there certainly is. There's a lot of elevation change here, and it's a very nice circuit.
Mad Mike Jones will start from pole position with Daniel Falzon and Wayne Maxwell on the podium in race number 2, joining him on that front row of the grid. Row 2 will be Cru Halliday, Josh Waters, and two victories this weekend so far for Brian Starring, starting out of position number 6.
On row 3, of course, we will have Mark Kyoto. What a start to the weekend he had. A brilliant start on his Penrite Honda. Glenn Allerton, who unfortunately won't be here because he's had a wrist injury, and Troy Herfoss starting out of position 9 from the Penrite Honda racing team. Also looking for a good result after he fried a clutch earlier on this weekend. Matt Walters riding strong this year on the ZX10R. Arthur Cece's, we talked about him and his blinding starts. Ted Collins also unfortunately had a moment earlier on.
Al Phillips will start out of position number 13, but was a rocket ship in the start of race number 2. Damon Rees, as we mentioned, the Kiwi on board that special liveried machine. And Glenn Scott, who we just heard from on the grid, on board the Kawasaki ZX10R, doing a great job and leading privateers so far this weekend.
Brendan McIntyre starts out of slot 19 on his Suzuki GSX-R. Adam Senior, we spoke to him on the grid. Evan Biles, the local. 22 is David Barkham from South Australia. Matthew Tooley from 23. And 24th, of course, is Peter van der Heijden.
And Sash Savin on board his BMW S1000 RR rounds out the grid as we get ready to go racing for the final time. Troy Herfoss doing a bit of a Valentino Rossi there and just preparing himself for battle on board the number 1 Penrite Honda. It hasn't been the round that Troy Herfoss was hoping for here at the Bend Motorsport Park. Let's hope he can have a nice, strong ride in this final race.
Guys caught up with Honda team owner Dion Coote after race 2. Just a reminder, race 1, they weren't even sure if Herfoss was going to start. He had a burnt-out clutch that was replaced overnight.
Well, thanks, Emma. We're ready to go racing now. Superbike race number 3 for the Kawasaki Superbike class is about to get underway. The lights go out, and it is the light charge of the light brigade down in towards turn 1. Who's going to get the run? Keep your eye on Arthur Cece's. There he is on the left-hand side of the screen, as we predicted, and he comes charging down the inside. Can he get bike number 61 into the lead? No, he's back in about 3rd place. It looks like one of the Suzukis has taken the lead, and it looks like Al Phillips has also got a lightning start on board bike number 8. We've got one of the Yamahas down. That's Daniel Falzon on bike number 25, the local man. On the factory Yamaha is out at turn 2.
That's not going to do his championship any help at all, is it? Daniel Falzon, the local man, is out, but meanwhile, Wayne Maxwell off to a brilliant start, and Mike Jones got that start that he wanted. He really did dig deep, and look at him. He's looking for a way around Wayne Maxwell already. I'm hoping that Falzon's bike is far enough offline that they don't have to stop this one. I think it looked like it was well out of harm's way. Mike Jones striking early, looking for a way up the inside already.
You know who else got a great start? Al Phillips on board bike number 8. He's there in 3rd position. Right behind him, Mark Kyoto once again on board bike number 30. Another strong performance from the Penrite Honda. And also back there is Josh Waters. Looks like he's right on the back of this lead group as well. Championship leader Cru Halliday just behind him. Then it's Brian Starring that so far has 2 victories to his name out of the 2 races that we've had so far this weekend.
How good is Al Phillips and Mark Kyoto going this weekend? As up the inside he goes, pushes Wayne Maxwell wide. Not much room left there, but we knew that Mike was going to strike hard because he says that on a new tyre he's got more pace than anyone. Let's keep an eye on him now to see if that's true.
Well, he proved that in qualifying, didn't he, Steve Martin, when he stole pole position from Daniel Falzon's almost clenched fist in the dying moments of qualifying on Friday afternoon. And as they make their way down towards turn 17 now, Mike Jones has taken up the running at the front. Kyoto well placed on board bike number 30. Where's his teammate Troy Herfoss? He's a couple of places further back. He is in 8th place at the moment, behind Brian Starring and Cru Halliday.
Well, Brian Starring, the guy who everybody's worried about, is way back in 7th or 8th position at the moment. He's in 7th, quite a few seconds behind the leader. So Brian Starring definitely with work to do, but he's got time on his side. It seems that the Pirellis degrade after about 3 or 4 laps, but those Dunlops are quite stable.
Yeah, it looks like Glenn Scott and Matt Walters just rounding out the top 10 now as they came down into the start of turn 1. They're having a pretty good battle. I think they changed positions a couple of times on that start-finish straight. And as we head off on lap 2 now, it is still Mike Jones on board bike number 46, the Desmo Sport Ducati 1299 final edition. Here's a replay of the incident involving Daniel Falzon. Looked like he got in there a little bit hot, tagged the back of Arthur Cece's.
Yep.
So it was the 2 local riders coming together. Arthur Cece's went back to his Speedway days and had to take a detour across the dirt And Daniel Falzon unfortunately went down hard. And just having a look at it, Arthur Cece's back in 19th position, Steve Martin. That's not the way the local man wanted to start after getting so fast off the line.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always good off the start, but improving all the time in this class too is Arthur Cece. It's unfortunate for Daniel Falzon, but the racing is so frenetic out there now that, you know, it's almost like they are racing for sheep stations.
Well, coming down now across the hump and down into the right-handed corner that then goes up a nice little hill. We've seen plenty of incidents here this weekend. Look at the dust blowing across the circuit as they make their way around through there. Al Phillips has got another cracking start on board bike number 8, the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia, the satellite machine. He's not the full factory team like the Wayne Maxwell and Josh Waters entries, but doing a great job here. The bike is prepared exactly the same as those bikes, and he's got the Sultan of Suzuki, Phil Tayton, working on that bike.
Yeah, well, I think he just got overtaken by Cru Halliday. But in saying that, this is the best weekend for Al Phillips and also Mark Kyoto too. They're both riding absolutely brilliantly. It's good to see the privateers up there, but meanwhile back out the front, Mike Jones is trying to string the field out a little bit. And there's Brian Starring. Look how far behind he is now. He is, if let's have a look, he's quite a way back. He's 2.5 seconds back.
Well, Mark Kyoto's in 3rd position, but I just noticed, like he did on Friday, looks like his fairing has actually come adrift there. I don't know whether that's because of contact with another rider, but it certainly won't be helping the aerodynamic efficiency of that Penrite Honda, as he sits in 3rd place at the moment, being hunted down by the 3-time Australian Superbike champion Josh Waters, Cru Halliday championship leader on board bike number 65, the next rider through. Then it's Al Phillips and Brian Starring right behind.
Yeah, Josh Waters in there too. Doing the best job that he can out there at the moment.
Oh, Al Phillips, massive moment. Sorry, Steve Martin. He was out of the seat and he almost got ejected right over the high side. How he managed to stay on, I think only Al Phillips and his launderer will ever know.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big moment. Hopefully we get a replay of that and we can analyse that in a minute. But Josh Waters has had a much better start this time out too. You can see him just in the back there. But is Wayne Maxwell, let's have a look here, as he gets on the gas, really leant over. Yeah, just put too much power in that didn't spin nicely, dug in and just about flicked him over with all the kinetic energy in the rear shock there.
And you see that momentary loss of drive, and flashing past was Brian Starring and Troy Herfoss, both moving up one further position. Starring up to 6 now, Herfoss back up into 7th position. Al Phillips relegated to 8th. As Mad Mike Jones hasn't been able to get away as he was hoping that he would, because he's got Wayne Maxwell on board bike number 47 right behind him. So you have a look at the front of the field. At the front of the field there, Mark Kyoto is the only rider all the way back to Al Phillips in 8th place that hasn't won an Australian Superbike Championship.
Well, we're a couple of laps into this now, 3 laps into it, and Brian Starring, the guy that feasibly everyone's worried about winning the race, is 3.1 seconds back.
Yeah, but the only thing is though too, look at the pace of Brian Starring. The pace that he's doing now, 154.1s, is exactly the same pace that he will be doing at the end of the race.
That's it.
The Pirelli runners, they're all in the 53s, but by the end of the race, they'll be back in the 55s, as we've seen so far, unless someone has come up with a miraculous setting change, as Wayne Maxwell puts a big move on to go down the inside of Mad Mike Jones at turn 1. We know Wayne Maxwell is a late breaker, and that was a good clean move at a corner where he's had a bit of bad luck this weekend.
Mark Kyoto brilliantly in 3rd position at the moment too. That was a good move by Wayne Maxwell, but Mark Kyoto is having the weekend of his life here at the Bend. He's adapted to that Honda brilliantly well.
And if anything, he's closing down on Mad Mike Jones in 2nd position. I spoke to Mark this morning. I said, what was the change? He said, we went and did a test day at Winton with his crew chief. He's got Gary House back on board now, and he's right up onto the back of Mad Mike Jones. He said, we completely changed the bike. It's nothing like what it was at the start of the season. I feel comfortable on it, and I feel like it's my motorcycle now, not Troy Herfoss's.
Well, he's certainly riding the wheels off that bike now. He's looking really comfortable on the Penrite Honda, and Mark Kyoto, what a great ride from him. Super impressed. And it hasn't been often that he's been able to ride so close with riders of the calibre of the 2 guys in front of him.
Well, he's loving this this weekend, is Mark Kyoto, and also the sensible side of Mark Kyoto coming out. When in race number 1, he was sitting in 4th position. He said he felt like he could have pushed as he tries to go down the inside of Jones, but in the end he said, no, I'd rather settle down. Oh, he's got it all wrong. He's got in there too late. He's run off the track. He's going to lose a lot of positions, Mark Kyoto, and he's now back off the podium. We've put the commentator's curse on him, Steve Martin.
Yeah, he just went in there too deep. The front wheel locked up momentarily, held it on, and yeah, collected on the side. That fairing is hanging off as well. He's had a bit of a rough race, but I'll tell you what, those laps are valuable. I mean, Mark Kyoto, he managed to save it. Lucky to get away with that. Mike Jones won't be too happy about that, though. But nevertheless, he got away with it, did Mike Jones, so he's still out there, but his plan's gone out the window. Now he's just going to go absolutely flat out.
Well, Brian Starring has just set his fastest lap of the race into the 53s, a 53.3. Wayne Maxwell, Josh Waters at the front of the field into the 54s, as we see there. That's just the tail end of that incident where Kyoto got down the inside, but he couldn't turn the bike in because it was so sideways, and ran both himself and Mike Jones wide. Kyoto off the circuit. Jones has dropped back now to I think third or fourth position, but he's lost, more importantly, distance on the road. Third position now. Josh Waters has gone up into second, so it's a Team Suzuki X-Star Australia 1-2. Keep your eye on this man, Brian Starring. He's on a charge on board the Kawasaki BC Performance machine. He's up into fourth, Steve Martin. He's the fastest man on track by about at least a second over the rest of the field. Down now into the final corner. This will be where the turn 17. They'll come around turn 17 and then down to the final corner. And this will be where the real difference is, as Brian Starring tries to get drive out of this long 1 kilometre straight and see if he can also use the slipstream as well. He actually pulls out of the side of Mad Mike Jones's bikes, doesn't even use the slipstream, but we know how fast that 12.99 Panigale 12.99 final edition is. Yeah, there might only be one bike faster than the Kawasaki, and that's that red bike on screen now, the V-twin Panigale. Well, they couldn't actually get past Mad Mike Jones, who couldn't in turn get past, well, you know that Phil Tate prepared Suzuki is never going to be slow in a straight line. So let's go down, and Mad Mike Jones is in a very good battle at the moment. Let's talk to the man whose bike he's riding, Troy Bayliss.
Troy Bayliss, Mike, just moved down to fourth position. He's doing a great job, because I tell you, the elbows are out at the moment, aren't they?
No, we're having a good weekend here with Mike, and he got a little bit unlucky there, got pushed wide, but we still think he's got the speed to come back, and looking forward to seeing him come through.
Thanks, Troy.
Cheers.
Well, hopefully we'll see Troy Bayliss back. That finger injury is getting better and better all the time, Steve Martin, and I think it will only be a matter of time before we see two Desmo Sport Ducatis out there on the grid. Of course, it has been confirmed that Mike Jones will be doing the remainder of the season with the Desmo Sport Ducati team on that 12.99 final edition Panigale. Keep your eye also on Troy Herfoss. He's had a few dramas this weekend, but he's right on the back of this lead group now, and once the reigning champion gets a sniff of riders in front of him, he'll be honing in on them for the kill. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's actually caught them up. He's on a bit of a run at the moment, and he's been sort of out of the melee of all the action. Everyone else has been biffing and barging their way through, where he's been able to be smooth on his tyres. So I think we will keep an eye on him, because I reckon that he might have a little bit more left in his machine than the guys in front of him. So watch out for Troy Herfoss to make a move through the pack. Well, of that group in front, the only man that was faster on the last lap was Brian Starring. Yeah, absolutely, and he's starting to assert some dominance now, up in the second position, 54.3, 0.7 quicker than the man in front. He's about to blast around the outside of Wayne Maxwell. You don't do that normally. I mean, that was an incredible overtaking manoeuvre. But I guess what Wayne will do now is try and stay with him. There's not much he can do. He knows he can't. Well, you see how much Maxwell closes up on the brakes. I actually thought he was going to try and go up the inside, but look at the mid-corner grip and the drive grip out of the corner there that Brian Starring's got, that I think no one else can keep with him at the moment. What Wayne Maxwell's got to do, you can even see the big line on Wayne Maxwell's
well, let's have a look
there.
Here. Let's see why Wayne didn't use all the track. Look, there's the problem. He had that massive slide in the middle of the corner, a bit of a shake of the head. He's not happy with that. That's the part that we missed, and that's why number 67, Brian Starring, just said, oh, that doesn't look too good, but my bike's feeling fantastic. I'll just go around the outside. So Brian Starring has opened up a nice little gap, but look at this battle now for the final place on the podium. Mike Jones, Josh Waters also involved in that battle, along with championship leader Cru Halliday, and look who's arrived at the party. Right on the back, it is the reigning champion, Troy Herfoss. He hasn't had the best of weekends, but I tell you what, he's pretty determined now to try and make amends and get onto the podium in this final race for the Kawasaki Superbike class here at round 3 of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship from the Bend Motorsport Park. There's a massive gaggle of riders now, 4 of them in fact, that are just starting to try and close that gap up to Wayne Maxwell. Maxwell with the fastest lap of the race, I might say, 53.0. Last lap round 55.6. That's a 2.6 second discrepancy in the lap times.
And look at Brian Starring's times. His times have only differed by less than a second for the entire race distance. Wayne Maxwell's times have differed by 2.6 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Herfoss there just in the background lurking. Up the inside goes Cru Halliday. It's important for him to get points, you know, like he's been so consistent. He's one of the few riders that's stayed out of trouble and stayed consistent all year so far.
Yeah, leads the championship, hasn't had a race win yet, but he has finished every race in a good, strong position, has Cru Halliday. And as they come across the line to complete 7 laps of the 10-lap journey, Starring has opened up a 2.4 second lead over Wayne Maxwell. Mad Mike Jones is a further 1.2 seconds back and currently leads this 4-bike battle. And if anything, has actually managed to get away just a fraction from Cru Halliday, Josh Waters and Troy Herfoss. Herfoss up the inside of Waters as they come round through this bowl section that takes them up over that very blind corner.
There was a bit of a bubble there from Mike Jones as well, using all the track, but up the inside, Cru Halliday goes, just catches Josh Waters by surprise there. Not much he can do about that. He blocks the line, lets him through, and yeah, Waters just left high and dry on the outside, and Cru Halliday with a nice, clean overtaking manoeuvre.
Just looking at Troy Herfoss's times, his fastest lap is a 54.0, so that's about 0.7, 0.8 of a second slower than some of the other riders. Maybe he was playing the tyre conservation game at the beginning of the race, holding something in reserve for a charge through the pack late in the race, and this is where we're going to see the reigning champion really start to use that extra tyre wear that he now has got, because he's closed right up onto the back of Cru Halliday's Yamaha factory machine, bike number 65.
Yeah, I guess one thing he could have done at a guess or a gamble is that he could have perhaps you know, like started with a whole lot of traction control on, so the tyre didn't spin from the start, you know, which was why he doesn't have that outright speed. But I notice his fairing looks like it's falling off as well.
Well, there's Robbie Bugden, the tyre man, the 5-times New Zealand Superbike champion and former rider for BC Performance Kawasaki, watching on with Kelvin Riley, the man in charge of the BC Performance Kawasaki team. And they've had a fantastic weekend. I think it's their best ever weekend in the ASBK Championship here at Bend Motorsport Park. And they're looking to try and make it a three-peat with 3 race wins from 3 starts. It's got a pretty handy lead at the moment. It's pushing out towards 4 seconds for Brian Starring. A very lonely second place at the moment for Wayne Maxwell, but he won't be too bothered with that. And then there's this 4-bike battle for the last place on the podium. Josh Waters, the 3-times Australian Superbike champion, has just dropped to the back of that field at the moment, and he's closed right up onto the back of Troy Herfoss as well. Maybe Josh Waters is not finished with yet.
Great job by those guys there out there at the moment. Cru Halliday, though, has worked his way through this pack, and yeah, Herfoss now through on Mike Jones. Mike Jones just starting to give way a bit there, so poor old Mike Jones, his plans thrown out the window, but Herfoss, his plan starting to come to fruition. If he's lucky, he might put himself in a podium position, but he's got to get past the fast Cru Halliday out there.
Just looking back through the top 10 at the moment, behind this group, Al Phillips is the next rider. Then it's Mark Kyoto in 8th, Glenn Scott in 9th position. That'd be our leading genuine privateer. And Damon Rees on board his Anzac Honda rounds out the top 10 with Lockie Eppes, Matt Walters, Arthur Cece's, Brendan McIntyre and Evan Biles up into the top 15.
Yeah, Lockie Eppes, good to see him almost into the top 10. That's probably a pretty good result for him as well. So Lockie Eppes starting to come to grips with his BC Performance Kawasaki.
Well, look at Troy Herfoss now. He is all over the back of Cru Halliday's machine, trying to find his way through and into 3rd place. We have only got, we're coming round to a complete 9 laps of the 10-lap journey, so the last lap board will be issued. Cru Halliday just has a sneaky look over the shoulder there from the Yamaha machine as he came through that corner, and I don't think Troy Herfoss would have been close enough that he would have been able to see him, but I reckon he can hear that Penrite Honda.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll know he's there for sure, especially when he goes past his pit box, and they're holding the pit board out saying that the number 1 is coming, and coming in a hurry. With a couple of laps left, you can only imagine and think that Troy Herfoss wants to get on the podium.
Well, pit board for Brian Starring indicating he has got a 5.9 second lead, or 6.1 second lead as he comes across the line to start this last lap. 9 laps down. There is 1 lap of the Bend Motorsport Park to go to determine who will be finishing on the podium. Second place looks like it's pretty much done and dusted for Wayne Maxwell, but the dispute over third place is on in earnest, and they've got a pretty good gap now over the battle between Mad Mike Jones and Josh Waters for 4th and 5th and 6th position.
Here he goes, here he goes. He really started to put it up the inside there. He got on the gas, but you could just see the back of the Penrite Honda complaining quite profusely. Big slides there. He doesn't look stronger on the brakes, but he dives up the inside now. Can he pull it tight? No, he can't.
Well, can he get the bike stopped and turned? He's way out onto the dirty part of the track. Here comes Mike Jones and Josh Waters. I think Herfoss is just going to get back on track in front of them, but now he's got to fight with everything he's got to try and hold off Jones and Josh Waters and Cru Halliday. That move has probably wrapped up 3rd position for the championship leader.
Yeah, absolutely. But Herfoss, you could just see that he wasn't as strong as everybody else in the braking. He had a little bit more corner speed, a little bit more grip, but in the braking area, the others were out braking him. So he had to try there. Didn't work from him because he couldn't just pull that brake on and tip in. Not overly confident with the front, but
look at the gap that he's made over Jones, and he may be not done with yet. Troy Herfoss, I think he's got to put in a very, very hard 3rd sector here to try and haul himself up back onto the back of Cru Halliday. You can never discount the multiple Australian Superbike champion, but he is going to ride the wheels off this Penrite Honda for the last few corners. Whereas Brian Starring will be coming round through turns 17 and 18 now with a very comfortable 6.7 second lead to make it 3 out of 3 for the BC Performance Kawasaki team. There's Wayne Maxwell. He's out onto the start-finish straight. Brian Starring will go across the line to take the win on the back wheel. Congratulations to Brian Starring and BC Performance. 3 out of 3. Wayne Maxwell comes to the line and takes another podium this weekend. He'll be happy about that. And rounding out the podium will be our championship leader, Cru Halliday. And Brian Starring has actually taken the championship lead with that race win by 1 point from Cru Halliday. So 3 wins and championship lead, the best weekend ever for BC Performance Kawasaki.
What an incredible weekend for Brian and also all the Kawasaki fans out.
Well, remember he led the championship after the first round last year and then didn't score another race victory until this weekend. So it has been an unbelievable weekend, and Brian Starring will be one very happy man on the plane back to Western Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a brilliant weekend for him. Kudos to them. They stuck with the Dunlop tyres. Went that different route to the other people, and it's paid off for them here this weekend. They lead the championship. Absolutely fantastic stuff for Brian Starring and the team. Mark Kyoto there in the background was a good result for him too. Could have been a little bit better.
Well, congratulations to Brian Starring. We'll be hearing from the top 3 for the race after this short break. Join us at the Bend Motorsport Park after we hear from some of our sponsors. Welcome back to the Bend Motorsport Park Motorfest 2019, incorporating the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship and the Asian Road Racing Championship. We have just seen an incredibly exciting 3rd and final race for the Kawasaki Superbike class, and confirmation of the results. Brian Starring takes the win and the new championship leader from Wayne Maxwell and Cru Halliday out there on the podium as well. 4th place was Troy Herfoss. 5th place was Mike Jones, 6th Josh Waters, 7th Al Phillips, and 8th Glenn Scott. A great result for Glenn Scott, and we can't wait to hear from Brian Starring, Wayne Maxwell and Cru Halliday. They'll be down on the podium. They're with Emma. Well, Troy Herfoss, great recovery too, Steve, from the earlier disruptions in his championship challenge as well. A great result too for his teammate, Mark Kyoto. He could have been on the podium if it wasn't for that small mistake down there into turn 17. He eventually finished in 9th position with Lockie Eppes rounding out the top 10. Now let's go down to the podium with Emma.
Cru Halliday in 3rd position, your 6th podium for the 2019 season. You were worried coming into this weekend.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried. And I said before, I haven't ridden the 1,000 here, but you know, as I said, I'm with one of the best teams out there, and they put the right bike under me. It just, I would have liked to get a bit closer to Wayne those last couple of laps. He rode strong last 2 laps, and you know, at the same time, I passed Mike on that. I think it was like 3rd last lap, and you know, I knew someone was going to take a dive. I just wasn't sure it was Troy Herfoss, and you know, that sort of opened my eyes. So I sort of went in a little bit defensive that last lap, but. You know, hats off to the team, Pirelli tyres, everyone that's behind it, Kevin, all the boys just really pushing this thing to the max, and you know, got great championship points, and you know, I think I did lose the championship lead, but you know, I think it's only by maybe 1 point or 2 points, and you know, I'm confident, definitely confident in the next 2 races, Morgan Park and Winton. Sorry.
Thanks, Cru. Well done.
Well, great to hear from Cru Halliday there. He has slipped back to second place in the championship with 149 points, 1 point behind our new championship leader, Brian Starring, on 150, and Mike Jones is now on 140 points in third place in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really good result for the Kawasaki man. Wayne Maxwell grabbed some important points back too. Probably another disappointing weekend for him. So let's just hope that he can gather it all together.
Well, highlights of race number 3 for the Kawasaki Superbike class. Mad Mike Jones started from pole position, but it was the fast-starting Arthur CCs that got down the inside and up into third position. Unfortunately, his race didn't last very long, where the back of his privateer Suzuki was tagged by the factory Yamaha of Daniel Falzon. Falzon went down and CCs went off track and had a lot of work to do coming back from outside of the top 20.
Yeah, meanwhile, back out front, Mike Jones came very close with number 47, Wayne Maxwell, and there was a gaggle of bikes. Al Phillips, what a ride he was having too. Up near the front, brilliant stuff from him. We saw Mark Kyoto up there too, but Brian Starring was lurking around in the background, wasn't he? He was really looking to strike, but Al Phillips was riding on the limit, had that moment and relinquished his spot.
Well, it was about that stage, Steve Martin, where you were a little concerned that Brian Starring wasn't going to do the repeat because he was so far behind. Was it 3 or 4 seconds behind? Mark Kyoto ran off track. Starring moved further forward to the front, and it was about this time in the race where that relentless march forward really started for Brian Starring. He was consistent over the entire race distance. Wayne Maxwell's tyre went off. You could see him get out of the seat there, and Brian Starring didn't even need the slipstream to go blasting past the team X-Star Suzuki. Cru Halliday was also having a great dice with Josh Waters as well over the final place on the podium.
Plus 6 seconds. That's a pretty decent lead as you're heading into the last lap. But Troy Herfoss wasn't finished. Ran wide on the final corner, managed to gather it back together. He was strong in the last part of this race. Perhaps could have challenged for a podium, but look at that for a wheelie. And after you've got 3 wins, he had plenty of practice at it this weekend here at Tailem Bend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend for Brian Starring and the BC Performance team, and they all greeted him across the line as well. Great result for Wayne Maxwell too, after a weekend that started with some adversity as well. Didn't get any points in the first race, but came back with 2 strong podiums. And do you reckon Kelvin Riley's pretty happy, the team owner of Kawasaki BC Performance? Well, let's go down to the Park for May. Emma's with our round winner, 3-time race winner, Brian Starring.
Brian Starring, your race winner, your round winner, and congratulations for all the success this weekend you had with ARRC. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. 4 from 5. So Brock got the better of me in one of the ARRC races earlier today, but I'm so happy for how my weekend went and so grateful for our tyres and for Dunlop to be here and support us. We had something incredible this weekend, and honestly it made my life so much easier. But what a change in fortune. I know it's done a lot of good for our championship. I don't know exactly in which way at the moment, but it's all good. So massive thanks to my Kawasaki BC Performance ZX10RR. It's been a weapon all weekend, and a huge thanks to my incredible team that have prepared my bike faultlessly for every session and every race.
Your race winner and your round winner, Brian Starring. I always have great company down the ASBK paddock, but this weekend I get to hang out with 6 great gals, and guess what? They're all racing in the Supersport 300 class. Steph, why motorsport? Why bikes in particular?
Why motorsports? I don't know. That is a good question. I actually switched sports, playing AFL a lot of years, broke my foot, and then for some reason stumbled upon Supermoto and fell in love with the sport and never looked back since, because it's, you know, I guess I could say it's a safer sport, like literally. You're wearing all the protective gearing and all that stuff. And look, you know, yes, at the same time, you know, you get to play with your bikes and hang out with the boys and, you know, have a fun time.
Grace, can you tell us a little bit about your experience and also where you're heading very soon? I believe you've got some exciting news.
Yeah, I done my first race in 2016 after my boyfriend forced me to get a bike and get on track. And yeah, I never look back, like Stephanie said. Since it's just, yeah, it's our life. We absolutely love doing it. And since starting, I got picked to race in the first Women's World Championship with Italica Racing. And yeah, heading to Mexico on the 6th of March for round 1 of that to represent Australia with my Irish accent.
Yeah, so I've been doing ASBK for 2 years now, and it's been great seeing more girls come in over the years. Also, it's really good because it's safe riding. We're fully protected. It's good for role modelling with younger girls coming to the sport. I think it practices safe riding, which is great. Not only on the track, but also spectators. There's more female here. One of the funnest things is probably racing against the boys, because I mean, on the track everyone's the same, but it's just kind of fun. Just push them out of the way if you can. Yeah, it's good.
There's so many females this time last year there was definitely not 6 females starting up on the grid, and if you look at all of our results across all 6 of us, we're going pretty darn well. It's a very competitive field, and yeah.
So I've been racing since I was very young, 9 years old. Started off in dirt track and now I'm focusing on road racing. So it's given me so many opportunities, especially being a female in such a male-dominated sport. So yeah, if we can get more females, obviously we can make a bigger impact. So it'd be awesome if they come and joined us. Yeah.
I had male friends that did it, and it was just great to be able to come in and know that even being a female, there's no disadvantage to that. Like, I can come in and compete with them completely equally and just have such a great time doing it.
So there you have it. Don't forget, if they can do it, you can too. Best of luck to all of our girls for this weekend and for the rest of the year. Don't forget also to follow our Women in Motorsport page on the MA website.
And we are getting ready for the final race on today's program, Steve Martin. But this impressive facility, the Bend Motorsport Park, Australia's newest world-class motorcycle facility, has only been open for 2 years. And the ASBK was actually one of the first major events that was held at this venue 12 months ago.
Yeah, it absolutely was. I mean, it's a fantastic circuit. I love riding around it. It's a joy. It is a track that basically, it's one of the top 3 tracks in the country now.
Well, who better to go around the Bend Motorsport Park with than Steve Martin for a guided tour?
Steeped in motorsport history. We've got some fantastic tracks. Of course, there's Eastern Creek, where there were Grand Prix held, Phillip Island, the current Grand Prix circuit, and now we've got another super track to add to the agenda, and that's this one, Tailem Bend. The track itself is 15 metres wide at its widest point. The straight is 1 kilometre long, and it's 4.95 kilometres long. It's got 18 twists and turns in its majestic layout, but I'll tell you what, that's enough of talking about it. Let's go for a ride. Accelerating up the straight here, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th gear. The fastest bikes are getting about 300 plus kilometres an hour as they head into turn 1 here. 90-degree corner, hard on the brakes. Really get ready to take that turn 1. Back through the gearbox, 2nd gear, try and clip that apex if you can, and then a quick change of direction over into turn 2. Keep that mid-corner rolling speed up, hard on the brakes again, and keep 2nd gear as you head round this blind turn 3. Up the hill we go, look at the crest there, aim for that apex point, 3rd gear, 4th gear as I flip around through turn 5, and then it just drifts away downhill. Keep an eye on the braking marker though, because you don't want to miss that. Braking hard here downhill, hard on the wrist as you head into turn 6. Back through the gearbox to 2nd gear once again. It feels slower than it really is. Once again, from low RPM, pick it up, short shift into 3rd gear. This is my favourite part of the circuit. It's turns 7, 8, 9 and 10. It's all right all the way around here. Clipping the apex all the way out to the edge of the track. Once again, clipping in here. You've got to be careful you don't lose the back as the race goes on. Another blind apex up through. Quick change of direction and back through the gearbox into 2nd gear we go. We're going to be heading onto the short right-hander straight here. Tuck in behind the screen as quick as you can. Keep it tucked in. Use all the track on the exit. This is about the only place on the circuit that you get to have a little bit of a break as you head through the gearbox. Once again, hard braking into that blind uphill right-hand corner. we go. Turn 13, quick, short acceleration blast up to 14. Once again, hard on the brakes as we flick into the blind left-hander that leads down the hill. We're in the final sector now. We're nearly home, but there's still more corners to go. 18 corners around this circuit. Turn 15, keep it nice and tight. Watch the brakes as you head up over here. The front can get light, and you can lose the front if the wind is funny. This is the tightest circuit on the corner. Plenty of people are going to run off. Plenty of overtaking opportunities here. Turn 17. Watch it in the races. A short blast in second gear now. Up to third gear. Try and pull third through the final corner. Turn 18. If you do that all right, you'll get to that start-finish line. You will have completed a perfect lap of the Bend. Well, how exciting was that? What a place to ride. I really enjoyed my lap around this new super circuit. But I'll tell you what, the racing is going to be even more exciting than that.
Certainly has been this weekend, Steve Martin. Great to have a ride on board. And being a South Australian, you have to be so happy that there is now another world-class facility in your home state.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's just a joy to know that this is here now. It's fantastic. It's a really good thing to have for South Australia.
Well, this is round 3 of the ASBK Championship for 2019. We've got more rounds to go. If you want to keep up to date with everything that's happening, and also check out the calendar and see when you can get to the next round, all the W's, asbk.com.au is where you need to go to keep up to date with all of the action.
There's lots of news on there to be had as well. You can find out about the riders. Very interesting stuff.
Well, the riders are down on the track ready for the final race on today's program, the Supersport 600. And I'm sure that Emma is down there getting the information from all of the riders before they head off on this final warm-up lap.
Ollie Bayliss has made me hold his water bottle for him here, mate. I'll give that back to you. He's a bit of a joker, this guy. A 9th and a 7th this weekend. What have some of the challenges been for you?
Just we had a few challenges with the front in the first race and a few problems on the first lap. And in the second race, just mainly the rear tyre, really. I've never really had a ride on a bike with sort of not a lot of grip, but you know, hopefully for this race we got everything sorted and we can be more up the front.
Good luck.
Thanks, Emma.
Boys.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Ollie Bayliss has had a wild ride this weekend. Steve Martin, I don't think I've seen him off the circuit more in the entire season so far than what he was in race number 1. 3 times he was off the track on the first lap.
Yeah, it was an incredible race for him. He seems to have calmed down a little bit. I think he's only been off the track 1 or 2 times since that point. But to be fair, he really has come on in the last couple of races, improving. And, he's going to be a good one to watch for this time out.
Well, we've got to remember he's the youngest rider in the field. He's the youngest rider to ever score points in the Supersport Championship. He's the youngest rider to ever be on the podium in the Supersport Championship as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he should be proud of what he's achieved. I mean, what were you doing when you were 15, Phil? It would have been probably not as being as fast as him on a racetrack. So, no. Ollie Bayliss, what an absolute legend.
Well, let's go back down to Emma on the grid.
Dallas Skier, 2 great results so far this weekend. Strategy for this one?
Yeah, awesome to get 2 top 5 finishes. Best position yet, so hopefully we can just get off to a good start, try and hang on to the front guys and pull down to another PB and even try and better top 5.
Good luck.
Thank you.
He has been on fire this weekend, Dallas Skier, hasn't he? 2 top 5s in this field is a remarkable result for a guy that's only in his 2nd year of Supersport racing after stepping up from the Supersport 300 class.
Yeah, absolutely. He's growing in confidence. I really, I like the way he rides, and he is going to be a big star in the future. So really looking forward to him.
Well, another rider that's great to have here this weekend is the reigning Supersport champion from New Zealand, Avalon Biddle. Emma's with her down there on the grid.
I'm just here with Avalon Biddle. I caught up with you before race 1 because it was going to be your very, very first race as a part of the ASBK paddock. Happy so far with your weekend?
Yeah, really happy, really happy. My starts have been left a lot to desire. I've gotten off and, sort of been outside the top 10 on the first couple of laps. But after that, I've managed to chip away, set really good pace and get into the top 10 with a 9th and a 7th so far. So fingers crossed we can move up a couple more positions in this race.
We are thrilled to have you here. Good luck.
Thank you.
We certainly are thrilled to have her here. And the good news is, Steve Martin, that I think it's been pretty much confirmed that Avalon Biddle will be back for more ASBK appearances for the remainder of the 2019 season as well. So we can't wait to see what she can do at some of the other circuits on the calendar. Of course, the next round is coming up at Morgan Park. We've got about a 2-month break before that round gets underway. And a lot of riders will be heading overseas to participate in various other competitions. The Suzuka 8-hour one, that is always one that comes to mind, but also our pole man and man that has been unbeaten so far in 2019, Tom DeParis. He's off to Germany.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see him heading over there to the IDM. Be really good to keep an eye on him and see what he can do.
Well, Emma's down there with him on the grid right now.
Tom DeParis sitting on pole position and going for your 8th consecutive race win for 2019.
Yeah, Emma, it's been a great weekend so far. Really taking it one race at a time, and honestly, it doesn't feel like eight in a row. I think just doing the best job we can, and at the moment it's just lucky that we are winning. So yeah, we'll take it while we can get it, and we've got a 2-month break after this race, so let's hope we can finish on a high.
Hey, the guys are just talking about how Phil Harlem needs hair like yours. Can you throw up to the guys?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Phil Harlem, he's got a bald head. He needs hair like yours. That's what they're talking about in my ear at the moment. Can you throw up to the boys, Steve and Phil?
I'm going to shave my head probably after this race, so he can have it if he wants it.
I love it, boys.
Thanks very much, Tom, but unfortunately I wouldn't know what to do with it.
No, that's a little bit scary. I wouldn't be touching that hair. But anyway, it's fast. It's the fastest hair around this circuit in the 600 class, that's for sure.
Well, certainly was. Maybe I can just put it on the back of my helmet so I look like Tom DeParis when I'm going around the circuit. Well, there's one more race to go on today's program. It is 8 laps of hectic Supersport racing action. Keep your eye there also on bike number 33, Reed Batty, a debutant in the class this year, stepping up from Supersport 300 and pretty much a year off racing last year. And he's going to be incredibly fast once again in this race. He's already had one podium so far this weekend as well.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And as you can see, the weather's temperature's gone up a little bit. It's 18 degrees out there. The wind's gone up a little bit too, 19 kilometres an hour, and the humidity 54%. Won't change too much from the races this morning.
Well, I can tell the wind's come up a little bit, Steve, because my new hair was waving around down there on the grid.
Oh, your tomometer. Very good.
Well, there we go. The riders have got their helmets on. They're ready to head off on their warm-up lap. Also, great performances this weekend so far too for bike number 27, Nick Leamington, that starts out as 2nd position on the grid. He has been consistent. He's finished 2nd in all of the races so far this weekend. His weekend didn't get off to the best of starts because in the first qualifying session, he actually had some trouble with the bike. They put the bike out on track, had some problems, came back, didn't actually record a lap in the first qualifying session.
Yeah, he was lucky it didn't rain in qualifying too. Managed to finally put that decent lap in, 56.1, which is awfully fast. But once again, it is Tom DeParis on the pole. So Nick Leamington now, I think he's finished 2nd enough. I mean, he's had plenty of podiums, but he hasn't been able to challenge Tom DeParis to the end of the races. But I'll tell you what, he's getting closer and closer. My gut tells me that if there's ever going to be a race that it's going to happen, it's going to be this one.
Well, Tom DeParis will start from pole position on board bike number 7, the Landbridge Transport Yamaha. Nick Leamington will start at a 2nd position on board bike number 27. And Brock Pearson starts out of position number 3 on board bike number 17.
Suzuki Reed Batty on the GSXR 600 out of position 4. Luke Mitchell in 5th, and Aidan Hayes on his somewhat beaten up Hayes Johnson Limited machine in 6th position.
I just saw him heading around there, so he is out there on the grid. Ollie Bayliss will start out of 7th place. Avalon Biddle out of 8th, and Dallas Skier out of 9th. Well, great weekend so far for Dallas Skier. And Avalon Biddle should be happy with her weekend so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Johnson, of course. Chris Quinn, who's had a pretty good weekend so far. Reece Belling, who I think has bit the dust once or twice. So let's hope that he has a good race this time out.
Tim Donham will start out at position number 13 with Andrew Etzer on board the lone Kawasaki in 14th. Ben Liebig in 15th. And then the field is round out by Jack Passfield in 16th, John Quinn in 17th, Bronson Pickett in 18th position. And back to the final row of the grid, row 7. And I think that, I'm not quite sure who it is back on there on row 7, but I think there's only one rider that will start out of there. And as they make their way down through turn 16 now, down to turn 17, which has seen plenty of action this weekend, Steve Martin, we are ready to go racing just about for our final race for the weekend. And well, I think if you'd have to be a betting man that wants to take some pretty long odds to get it bet against this man, Tom DeParis, not greeting that checkered flag for well, what would it be? The 8th time this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 9th time this year. He's already had 8. We've had 2 races this weekend, so this will be the 9th time. So he's on for the next win. So let's hope that he can sort it out and do the best job that he can. But Nick Limington, definitely one to watch.
Well, keep your eyes on the lights as we get ready to go racing for the Supersport class. It is the 3rd and final race for the Supersports here at the 3rd round of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship from the Bend Motorsport Park in South Australia. As the red flag leads in front of the grid, the red flies. Tom Park starts to come. She'll get the great start. What Pearson looked like he just didn't quite get the jump that he would have liked. And Aidan Hayes is on a charge on board bike number 46. But Nick Limington sweeps across the field. Can he get the better of the fast-starting Suzuki of Reed Batty as they come down in towards turn 1? No, it is Reed Batty that will take the lead around the outside. I couldn't see who that was. Was it Brock Pearson, I think, on board bike number 17 that had a miraculous recovery?
Well, I'll tell you what, Taparis didn't get the best of starts. He's way back in the pack. He's going to have plenty of work to do. He's down in 5th position at the moment. Nick Limington's up in 2nd. So if Nick can get in front of Reed Batty and make a bit of a break, this is going to be a real race for Tom Taparis. He's going to have to strike quick. He's going to have to strike hard. And it's already Nick Limington looking up the inside. But Reed Batty, boy, is he strong on the brakes.
Well, it was Brock Pearson that got a great start because he didn't get off the line well, but he must have got great drive when he got off the line because both he and Ollie Bayliss are sitting in 3rd and 4th position as well. Remember, Bayliss started from the 4th row of the grid on board bike number 68. So an absolute cracking start there from Ollie Bayliss. And the best news for Ollie is that he's managed to keep the bike on track most of the way around this first lap.
So far, but there's still half a lap to go. Looking for a way past Reed Batty is Nick Limington at the moment. And it's, you know, he wants to just settle everything in, but he knows that he needs to break away if he can. Avalon Biddle in the background there. How awesome is that?
I was just about to say, she was saying when Emma spoke to her on the grid that she hasn't been getting the best of starts. That's the best start that she's had all weekend. And there goes Taparis up the inside of his former teammate, Ollie Bayliss. They are good friends off the circuit and they constantly rib each other all weekend. And Taparis has just managed to side his way through on Bayliss. Avalon Biddle is the next rider through, and then Aidan Hayes, the last rider in that lead group. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to the next rider, which is Dallas Skier on board bike number 86.
As they head off to finish the first lap, it is Reed Batty who leads. Nick Limington should be able to get a good drive out of that final turn, get in the slipstream and get past Reed. Those Yamahas are pretty strong, but I tell you what, Reed Batty got a brilliant drive out of that last corner and has left Nick somewhat in his wake at the moment. Brock Pearson's in there though. Brock Pearson's in the slipstream too, and they're on the brakes hard in turn 1. Nick is sideways in typical Nick style, takes the lead. He's got a couple of bikes between him and Danger Man Tom Taparis for winning this race. Brock Pearson, he wants a bit of this too.
Well, Brock Pearson very keen to get back up on the podium. Of course, remember 12 months ago at this round was where he sustained a really nasty back injury, and some thought that it may have been the end of his motorcycle racing career. He made a return at the end of last year, and he's back to full fitness pretty much at the beginning of this year. And he's back on song as well. Look at that dive down the inside. But Reed Batty uses the great chassis of that Suzuki GSXR just to hold the brakes off and run into the corner a fraction faster. And Pearson couldn't shoehorn the number 17 Yamaha R6 through.
Look at how low Reed Batty sits on the bike. He does sit right on the tank, doesn't he? As we have a look at Nick Limington now breaking up the inside sideways into turn 1 there. A good overtaking manoeuvre, and he needed to do it because he needs to keep a couple of bikes or as many bikes as he can between him and Tom Taparis. We know Taparis has got the pace. He's got to try and stretch it away if he's got any chance of winning this now. And Taparis rides like he has for the whole part of the year this year. He's going to be strict, but Reed Batty has dived back up the inside.
Well, I think what that was a clear demonstration of there is the Suzuki doesn't have the top speed of the Yamaha, but what it does have is great bottom end. It drives out of corners incredibly well, and also that chassis works really well on the run into corners, and he looks to carry a lot of corner speed, does Reed Batty. It almost looks like there's no one riding that motorcycle as he went round through that left-hander. All you can see was the leg hanging over the side of the bike and somewhat near the peg as he got down the inside, almost scraping his chin and elbow on the ground. Reed Batty's probably a foot shorter than the three guys that he's racing with in Nick Leamington, who is probably 6 foot or so. Tom DeParis is up there as well. Brock Pearson, probably the tallest of the lot of them. And look at Avalon Biddle. She's up into 5th position. This is going to be her best ever result, regardless of where she finishes in this. To be running this high in this field is a very impressive result from the reigning New Zealand Supersport champion.
Well, not only to be running this high, she's on the back of the group. She's on the leading group at the moment.
That's what I mean.
That's pretty impressive stuff. Even if she doesn't finish this race, I mean, she's just showing everybody that she's got a lot of pace on board.
And actually her lap on that last lap was less than 0.2 of a second. It was only about 0.14 of a second slower than the fastest man on track, Nick Leamington.
Yeah, unbelievable there. Looks like Reed Batty's just gone back through the field a little bit there into the clutches of Avalon now.
Yeah, he just sort of dropped, maybe he missed a gear or something coming out of that corner, Steve Martin, because it just almost seemed like his forward progress was somewhat halted.
Well, we know one thing, that Reed Batty's a bit of a fighter, so he will give it everything he's got. But the worrying thing for Nick Leamington now is when he goes past the pit box for the next time, he's going to know that there's just clear air between him and the number 7 machine.
Yeah, I'm sorry he'll get the pit board from the crew there on the pit lane to let him know that the man closing in from behind is Tom DeParis as they come around to complete this second flying lap. It's going to be very interesting to see who's been able to maintain their pace. Leamington, the fastest man on that first flying lap with a 57.0. There was a 57.2 for DeParis, a 57.4 for Reed Batty, and a 57.6 for Brock Pearson.
Gee, Avalon Biddle is doing an absolutely fantastic job to start with these guys in front of her at the moment. And I'm not just saying that because she's a female. She's a great ride.
Well, she's dropped Ollie Bayliss off on the back of this group as well. In fact, her last lap was a full second faster than Ollie Bayliss as they come across the line. A 56.9 for Nick Leamington, bested by Tom DeParis, a 56.915. So 6/100ths of a second faster was DeParis. It may not sound like much, but look how close he is up onto the back of the 27 machine now, the bike prepared by Race Bike Services.
Yeah, good job by Race Bike Services to get that one with Zach Johnson there in the back of that field. There's who else have we got there? That's
Luke Mitchell.
Luke Mitchell. He's had a good weekend too. Aidan Hayes, good to see him back out on track. He's had a couple of off-track excursions, hasn't he?
Well, what was it that Luke Mitchell said to us last night? We said, you're having a great weekend, Luke, and his comment was, not bad for a truck driver.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Out there having a bit of fun and keeping his eye in at the same time. There he is on the number 96 machine. I couldn't quite see the number before, but a great job by him out on track.
Yeah, just ahead of him is Aidan Hayes on the Hayes Transport machine, the yellow and black bike. And then behind Luke Mitchell on board bike number 96 is Zach Johnson on board the 22 machine. He rounds out the top 10, does Zach Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. As they head down through the back part of the circuit again at the moment. Half a second gap there, as you can see, with Dallas Skier, Aidan Hayes between those two guys. But Tom DeParis has closed that gap down. The next group of Batty, Pearson and Biddle, pretty close together at the moment, so good to see them having a good battle.
Yeah, and only 0.2 of a second between their lap times as well, between those three that are battling. Avalon Biddle is in the battle for the podium.
Yeah.
In third position she's in 5th position, but she's only half a second off the podium positions at the moment. As Leamington doing a good job here on board bike number 27 to try and hold off Tom DeParis. I've said it many times this weekend before, Steve Martin, but Nick Leamington's dad, Richard, used to race motorcycles as well. One of his trademarks was that his bike was always so well prepared and so shiny, and he's carrying on that vein now with the bikes that Nick turns up on every ring, a single round. They always look absolutely magnificent, always shiny, and Nick is riding the wheels off that bike at the moment.
He certainly is riding the wheels off it, just sideways. He tips in, he's run wide, and Tom DeParis slides through, and we knew that was going to happen. The first hint of a mistake, Nick Leamington, I don't know if it's his style or what, but you watch him on every braking zone, he runs a bit sideways, and I think that's his downfall, to be honest. You watch, here he goes sideways, he does that. DeParis as smooth as you like, straight up the inside, and makes his way through. So Nick has got to do all the work now to try and hold back DeParis, but with the clean track in front of him, you can be sure he's going to put his head down.
Yeah, slightly different riding styles from the two leading men on their Yamahas. They're both pretty much the same sort of motorcycle. Nick Leamington riding this weekend for a full Super spec engine. Not much difference between a Supersport spec engine and a standard engine, but just enough to make a little bit of a difference.
Well, those two engines are made by the same engine builder, as far as I know. They're both made by Sam Costanza, so very even in the power department.
Well, considering that Sam runs the team, great to see that he's sharing the skills around with all the rest of those riders. And Avalon Biddle now is up into 4th place, ahead of Reed Batty on board bike number 33. Reed Batty doing a good job there to study the lines of the reigning New Zealand Supersport champion. He's got great drive. That was the drive of the Suzuki out of the corner, wasn't it? You can see there he got great drive, and he's managed to shoehorn the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia machine up the inside. And as we've said before, Team Suzuki X-Star Australia over the last couple of years have had one rider in Josh Waters in the Superbike class. This year they've got 3 Superbike riders and Reed Batty on the Supersport 600 machine. The team has grown so much. Congratulations to Dale Breed and all the guys at Team Suzuki X-Star Australia on a fantastic presentation in 2019.
Yeah, absolutely. Brock Pearson there just has a look over his shoulder, just misses the action. Reed Batty straight past there on the brakes. If there's a weak point for Avalon Biddle, it's her braking ability. She does lose just a little bit on the braking. If she can fix that, she could run at the front of this race.
But one thing I've noticed about a lot of the female races is, Steve Martin, they all seem to carry unbelievable corner speed. And Avalon Biddle showing a bit of that this weekend as well, as Brock Pearson's managed to just extricate himself from that battle at the moment and looking to be on track for another podium on board bike number 17 here this weekend. And Nick Leamington, I think, has just lost touch with Tom Taparis. Probably not close enough to be able to get any slipstream advantage as they come round through this back section and head on down towards the other short back straight.
Yeah, well, what I'd like to see now, if I was in Nick Leamington's head, is I'd like to see him not give up. Just give it everything he's got. He needs to try and stay with Taparis to break that mental thing in his head that goes on, you know what I mean? Like Taparis has won every race. If he lets him go, he can't afford to do it. He's got to just hang on.
And Nick Leamington is in exactly the same position that Tom Taparis was in this time last year, where Cru Halliday was dominating the championship. Tom Taparis was doing everything he could to try and haul back in the blindingly fast Cru Halliday on board, a bike very similar to the ones that these two are riding, but just couldn't do anything about the pace of Cru Halliday. Unfortunately, Nick Leamington is having to deal with the same thing at the moment, but to my eyes, he looks like he's actually managed to catch up a fraction on the back of Taparis' machine. This has been a good lap, the 6th lap for Nick Leamington, and I'll be very interested to see the lap times as they come round to complete this lap now as they head down towards turn 17, the penultimate corner on this very impressive 4.95 kilometre 18-turn circuit.
Normally, the strong point for Nick Leamington is his finish of the races. He always works his way forward in the last 2 or 3 laps too. So it's playing into his hands to be this close. This is an incredible lap for Nick Leamington, and maybe and hopefully he's done it. 56.7 for Nick Leamington. What an incredible lap.
That's the fastest lap of the race, and it is also 0.2 of a second faster than the lap by Tom Taparis. So I wonder if Taparis has been given the signal that there is a charge coming from the rider on board bike number 27, Nick Leamington. He has closed up now. The gap as they came across the line was 0.339 of a second, and I reckon by the time they got to turn 1, it was down to about 0.1.
Yeah, but I think he lost a little bit through that first section because it's back out a couple of bike lengths. He needs to try and sort that area of the track out. I think he's running into turn 1 a little bit too hot, but he's fast through here, hard on the brakes again. I reckon he loses it in the braking area. It runs that just that little bit wide. All right there where you let the brakes off, but in the real hard braking area when his bike goes sideways, sort that out and watch out.
Well, as they went through intermediate number 1, Taparis had stretched it back out towards 0.4 of a second. But Leamington is now right back up onto the back of the number 7 machine. Our race leader and championship leader, the man that is undefeated and gets on a plane as soon as he leaves the Bend Motorsport Park and heads to Germany to race in the IDM Supersport Championship on a bike in pretty much exactly the same specification as what he's riding here today.
Absolutely. You can be assured that Tom Taparis is feeling the pressure right now. Nick Leamington right on his back wheel. If he didn't see the lap board last time through, he'll be seeing it this time that says Nick Leamington +0. And as they head into the last lap after this one, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a hell of a last lap. Through they go, down the hill, through turn 14, 15. That quick flick to the right to Taparis a little bit quicker through there, uses all the track and a bit more as they head down and hard on the brakes again.
Well, Taparis still leads as he gets a little bit sideways coming out of the corner. Did Taparis there as he drives out of turn 17 and up towards 18. Did you see that, Steve Martin?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the fact that the tyres are starting to go off now, and it's going to come down to a real contest of who can handle a tyre with no rear grip. And Ollie Bayliss is the guy that said when we were talking to him on the grid that that's the one thing he's really
pulled
struggled
out.
with
He's
this
pulled out of
weekend.
the slipstream. He can't do it there. He's gone up the inside. Has he got up the inside? Oh, so close.
Well, and Brock Pearson has now got company with Reed Batty, who's made a real charge forward, Reed Batty. He's up into 4th place. In fact, he's left Avalon Biddle in his wake. Avalon Biddle's lap times have plummeted now. She's dropped about 2.1 seconds from her fastest lap on that last lap. So I'd say that she's starting to struggle with the lack of rear grip from her tyre at the moment.
Watch Nick Liminen. He's about to attack. He can't do it. Taparis was later on the brakes there. This is getting interesting now, Phil. He knows it.
How much faster did Taparis run into that corner than Nick Limington was able to? But this is where Limington seems to be able to gather back a little bit of distance, and as they get to the next braking area, he could be right onto the back of Taparis's Landbridge Transport bike number 7.
Yeah, he's right there now, isn't he? But it's a to and fro game. He's right there. He can't pass him there. He's going to try and go up the inside. That's a tight move. You can't do it there. Not at that speed as they head onto that short back straight. He needs to try and do it perhaps up the hill, but he's on the gas nice and early. Tom Taparis stands the bike up. He's in the slipstream, is Nick. He's going to go do it here. This is a great opportunity for him. He can't do it as they head up into the blind right-hander.
Well, he was so much closer at that last corner. I think he's lost a little bit of momentum there because he had to pull out of that at the last moment. Otherwise, it could have been a disastrous situation for both of those riders.
Well, he's got one opportunity left now, and that's down into turn 17. He's got to get right on the back wheel, which he does. He's got great drive through there to Paris. He's just not close enough, though. Yes, he's close enough. He's going to do it. He's up the inside. What a brilliant... Can he hold it tight? If he can hold it tight, he's got this one. That's a good drive. Yeah, oh, he's got to hold it together. Nick Liminen's going to win this one. Nick's got this. He's coming into turn 18. What a brilliant ride by Nick Liminen. He's going to be a brilliant ride for him. Watch him celebrate over the line. Fantastic ride.
Well, congratulations to Nick Limington, and congratulations to Tom Taparis for actually staying on board that motorcycle. He literally just grabbed a massive handle of acceleration and unfortunately set himself skywards. He was lucky to stay on board the bike. Brock Pearson will just lose out on the line to Reed Batty, who takes another podium this weekend. Brock Pearson finishes in 4th. But wow, Nick Limington, first win for the weekend, and the first person to congratulate him, Tom Taparis.
Absolutely, the first win for the year, actually, because Tom Taparis has won every other race.
As I said, first win of the year. So they've both done incredibly well. Tom Taparis looks at his rear tyre and said, "Where did all my grip go?"
Yeah, well, Nick's not too worried about Tom's grip. That was a brilliant ride.
Nick obviously had great confidence in the front end and also great grip out of that corner.
Yeah, good stuff. Both of those guys, they both rode the wheels off of those Yamaha R6s. A brilliant bike there. Here's that replay of that moment. Taparis gets on the gas. How do you get away with that? Doesn't get much closer than that. Has a look over his shoulder and says, "Did you see that?"
Well, his foot was about level with his tank. Well, both feet were level with his tank, Tom Taparis. So that was a great effort just to stay on board that motorcycle. But take nothing away from Nick Limington. You predicted it, Steve Martin, when you said he's usually strong at the end of the race, and that was exactly what it was. He started that charge with a couple of laps to go in the race, and it all came down to the last lap. The penultimate corner, Nick Limington laid it all on the line, and he takes the win by 0.0648 of a second over Tom Taparis. Reed Batty rounds out the podium on the Team Suzuki X-Star Australia GSXR. Brock Pearson in 4th place after a great ride. Avalon Biddle, a career best, 5th place in the Australian Superbike Championship. Ollie Bayliss in 6th. Dallas Skier in 7th after a fantastic weekend, and Luke Mitchell rounds out the top 8.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. That was an absolute brilliant race, all with everybody through the field. Aidan Hayes in 9th, Zach Johnson in 10th, Chris Quinn in 11th, and Andrew Edser. Another good result from him. Jack Pasfeld's improving all the time too in 13th position. Reece Belling in 14th, and of course rounding out the field in 17th and 18th, Ben Liebig and Bronson Pickett, who finished a minute off the lead.
Well, that might be the end of the racing action here from the Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship at the Bend Motorsport Park, but there is plenty more racing action coming up as we check the MA calendar events. The next event is the Pirelli Australian MX Nationals, rounds 4 and 5, the 4th and 5th of May from Murray Bridge in South Australia. Australia 3-day Vintage Enduro, the 24th and 26th of May from Blackwood in Victoria. The Australian Junior Road Racing Championship, round 4, 24th to the 26th, back here at the Bend Motorsport Park in South Australia. The Australian Women's Motocross Nationals, round 3, 31st of May to the 2nd of June at Manjimup in Western Australia. The Australian Classic Dirt Track Championships, 8th and 9th of June at Broadford in Victoria. Then we move on to the Pirelli Australian MX Nationals, round 6, the 22nd to the 23rd of June from Gympie in Queensland. And of course the Australian Post Classic Motocross Championship, the 28th to the 30th of June from Cessnock in New South Wales. For more information, go to ma.org.au. And of course, the next round of the 2019 Motul Pirelli Australian Superbike Championship will be held at Morgan Park Raceway at Warwick in Queensland on the 5th to the 7th of July. For more information, go to asbk.com.au. Big thanks to our team on the ground here at the Bend Motorsport Park, Emma Francesco and Steve Martin, and we'll catch you at Morgan Park.